Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Big Time Math, your BTM for the AAA, the Algebra Accelerated Academy. Today, we're talking about the algebra test number 2 in the second 6 weeks. This is your test review. So if you don't know it, I'm here to help. And if you do know it, then that's awesome too. Remember, you can pause this video at any time and go back and rewatch any parts that you would like to review on, yo. So let's check this mug out. We're going to start with number 1. Number 1 says, what is the solution to 2.25 times x minus 4.2 equals x plus 3.28? So, one of these answers over here, A, B, C, or D, is the correct answer. So what we're going to do is solve this mug. First off, I see 2.25 times x minus 4.2. So when I see parentheses, I personally like to multiply. Now, your teachers may have showed you different ways, which is perfectly fine, because in mathematics you could do it quite a lot of different ways, I guess you could say. But for this purpose, we're going to do distributive property. So I see 2.25 times x, so I see 2.25x. That's only a 1x, so you multiply the coefficients. Then I look at this and say, well, 2.25 also has to multiply times the negative 4.2. So I take my trusty calculator over here. It's already turned on, and I use it because that's big baller shot caller. Don't be afraid to use this mug. So 2.25 times a negative 4.2. And I simply do that, and I press enter. Bam! Negative 9.45. So let's go ahead and write that in. I'm going to write, let's do it in blue because we were blue, negative 9. What was that again? 45. All right. So it's negative 45 equals x plus 3.28. Now, we've taught you that we want to get all the x's on one side and all the numbers on the other. So we can do quite a few things here. I personally like this x right here. So I need to get rid of the 9.45. So simply do that. How about we do the opposite? I'm going to add 9.45, and then add 9.45, okay? So, peace out. So I get 2.25x equals x plus, if you can't do that in your head, guess what? We have our calculator. Don't put the calculator right in front of the numbers. Just go over here. 3.28 plus 9.45. Press enter, and I get 12.73. So I write down 12.73. But I'm not done, folks, because we've got to do a couple more things. We still have to get all the x's on the same side. So in this case, I have the positive x, so subtract x. And because that's 1x, this one should be very easy. 2.25 minus 1 should be 1.25x equals 12.73. But we're not done, folks. One more step here. I need to get rid of that 1.25. So I see that it's multiplied. So do the opposite. 1.25. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. And that's a 2.5 there. And I just simply look over and say, oh my gosh, I have no clue what that is. Well, guess what, folks? All you got to do is simply type in the calculator. 12.73. Golly, right there. Divided by 1.25, and lo and behold, I get a 10.184. So I come over here and I say, you know what? That's 10.184, and I circle that answer, and I come over and I look. Where could that answer be? Is it 11.2? No way. Is it 10.184? Yeah, I'm going to check that. Negative? No way. And is it a negative? No way. So what's my only answer in this case? Bam! It is B. So folks, distribute, do the opposite to both sides, do the opposite to both sides, do the opposite to both sides, and bam! You get your answer. Okay? That's how you solve that mug. Remember, if you had any trouble, go back and rewind it. Go into number 2. It says, which inequality describes all the solutions to negative 30 plus 5x is greater than 4 times 6 plus 8x. So what I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and clear everything out. That way we don't have anything confusing us. So here we go. Let's get started. Whew. Well, I look on this side, there's nothing I can really do. I can't add constants with variables with coefficients. So I come on this side. Uh-oh, I got parentheses. And because we're really good at distributing, we can just simply go, well, 4 times 6 is 24, right? Okay. And then 4 times 8x, I get 32x. Nothing happened on this side, so I just rewrite it, and it's still greater than. Now we have a dilemma here. We need all the x's on one side, all the numbers on the other. Some people like to get the biggest x's by itself. Some people like to move the x's to the left side. You know, it's always going to come out to the right answer as long as you do the right mathematics. So what I'm going to do is just get all the x's on the left side. So if I see this 5x over here, I have to get rid of the 30, so I'm going to add 30. Okay, that's pretty simple mathematics, right? So now I've got 5x is greater than 24 plus 30. If you want, use the calculator, but 24 plus 30, you should get 54 plus 32x, right? But the x's don't like living with the constants, so we got to make some moves here. So I've got x's over here and x's over here. So I'm going to move these x's. He's like, man, I don't want to live with 34. So he moves, or 54, he moves over to the other side. Now I'm begging you, if you don't know, you can't do the math, there's no problem. 5 minus, make sure it says minus right there, 32. I press enter. I get negative 27. So I'm going to write that down as negative 27x is greater than 54. One more step, because you're awesome. You're going to see to divide, right? So let's set divide by negative 27, divide by negative 27. Uh-oh, we have a problem. What do we do with this bad boy right here? It was greater than, but then I notice, wait a minute, I divided by negative, so what do I do? Well, if you remember, anytime you divide by a negative, this inequality is going to flip. It was greater than, but now it's got to be less than. All right, so that canceled out. X, and 54 divided by negative 27. I'm not afraid to use my calculator. Divided by negative 27. Press enter. I get negative 2. Okay, so negative 2. Can I do anything else here? Nope. So x is less than negative 2, so I go look at my answer choices. 1/2, that's definitely not it. X is greater than negative 2. It would have been that answer if I forgot to flip. X is less than negative 2, that checks, but I'm going to check all the answers. And this says x is greater than 1/2, so my answer here is C. You see that? That's how you do it, folks. Any questions? Too bad, because I can't hear you and I can't answer them, but you can ask your teachers definitely if you have a question. All right? Holy moly. Let's go on down to number 3. Let's clear out our work here. Remember, if you want to pause it or rewind it, feel free to do that, yo. Very, very easy. This says, which of the following is equivalent to 2x plus 3y equals negative 21? So what I'm going to do here is simply get y by itself. Because look, all my answer choices have y by itself. So I'll look over here. Well, it's 2 basic steps. I call it move and divide. If I want y by itself, I've got to move x, divide by the coefficient of y. So this 2x is chilling, so I'm going to subtract 2x, subtract 2x. So 3y equals. Now, some people might say, well, negative 21 minus 2 is a negative 23. However, the x has the negative 2 has a variable. Variables and constants don't go together, yo. So if they don't go together, they go side by side, and the variable always goes first. So negative 2x minus 21. But I look over here at my answer choices, I'm looking to get y by itself, so I have to get rid of that 3. And if you always move the x and divide by the coefficient, you're set. So divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. And I personally like to split it up so nothing gets left out and being divided by. So it just so happens these 3's cancel, so y equals. Now, I see this fraction here, negative 2 divided by 3. Does that reduce? Well, your calculator reduces everything for you, so check this out. Negative 2 divided by 3. Quick trick to reduce anything is you press math, enter, enter. Math, enter, enter. And look, it's negative 2/3 again, which means that fraction cannot be reduced. So I leave it negative 2 over 3x. And then right here, negative 21 divided by 3. Don't be scared to use a calculator. Negative 21 divided by 3. And I get negative 7. In order for this to be correct, all my equation has to be simplified and reduced. I see that my slope is negative 2/3. My y-intercept's negative 7. So look, negative 2/3, negative 7, check. But I just want to make sure that doesn't even have a fraction. Nope, that's a positive slope, and that's a positive slope. So in this case, my only possible answer is A. You always move the x, divide by the y coefficient. Okay? Man, y'all are rocking it here so far. 3 questions down. I believe we're going to 8. So let's see what we got next. Question number 4. Question number 4 has 4 problems in it. It says simplify the following expression. So let's see if you remember how to simplify expressions. So first thing I'm going to do when I see expressions is I like to write down PEMDAS. It always tells me what I need to do first. And so in this case, I see parentheses, so I'm going to come over here and look at parentheses. I look 2, that's a coefficient, r cubed, t5, z to the 2. Is there anything I can do inside the parentheses? The answer is no. They all have different bases, so I cannot combine them. So then I go to E, exponent. Is there an exponent? Yes. So what I have to do is do the exponent to everything. So what helps me here is I see parentheses and I see exponents. And so if it's outside the parenthesis, to me that means to multiply. All I'm going to do is distribute what we've been doing, my exponents. But this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Everything on the inside must have an exponent. Well, the z has an exponent of 2. T has an exponent of 5. R has an exponent of 3. Uh-oh, 2 does not have an exponent. Well, like Beyonce says, you know, if you want it, you got to put a ring on it. Well, guess what? Everything has to have an exponent. And if it does, you put a 1 on it. We can't put a ring on it, but we can put a 1 on it. So anytime you don't have an exponent, just put an exponent on that mug. The exponent in this case is going to be 1. So if I have exponents to an exponent power, I simply distribute. Here we go. 3 times 1, that is 3. See how easy this is? 3 times 3, that is 9. 3 times 5, that is 15. And 3 times 2 is 6. So I've multiplied all my exponents because, remember, with parentheses, that means multiply. Now, there's one more other thing I can do. It's 2 to the 3rd power. 2 to the 3rd power means 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So this actually simplifies to 8, r to the 9, t to the 15, z to the 6. All different bases, so I can't do anything else. So there's my final answer. Okay? Most common mistake is people will take this 3 and 2 times 2 and get 6. But you can't multiply an exponent times a coefficient. It doesn't make sense. Exponents only go with exponents, yo. So don't trip and make that mistake, all right? Okay. Moving along to the next problem. Let's go to the right. The opposite of Beyonce is to the left, So here we go. I got parentheses, so I look right here. Is there anything I can do inside there? No. Look over here. Nothing I can do inside there? No. But now I have an E. E's for exponents. So I come over, oh, bam! Here's an exponent. But remember, I told you a trick. If it's inside the parentheses and it's an exponent, you have to have an exponent. You can't do 2 times 3 and get 6. That's a wah, wah, no. However, if it doesn't have an exponent, what do? You put a 1 on it. Okay? Now that 2 only affects the 3 and the r. So let's give that a shot. So this one says 2 times 1. So that's 3 squared. Because 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. So there's my first parenthesis. And over here, nothing changed. Oh, that's a t there. That's a 5 there. Woo, there we go. R to the 4. So that 2 only affected that set of parentheses. So now, we've done everything on the inside of the parentheses. We've done all the exponents to the exponent power. Now we've got to multiply. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because this is a coefficient, and that's, not a coefficient yet. Almost made a mistake there. Don't forget, 3 squared is actually 9. Now it's a coefficient. So let me rewrite this mug, you know what I'm saying? So, to the faux, for show. Now we can complete this mug. So here we go. 8 times 9. Because they're both coefficients, they can actually multiply. You've done that forever? So 8 times 9 is what? I believe that's 72. Okay? 72. And if you forget, you can always check your calculator. 8 times 9. Press enter. Oh, I got to turn that mug on. 8 times 9. 72. Don't want to make any mistakes there. Then I look for t's. Well, in this case, here's a t here. There's no t there. So there's nothing that affects the t. So I'm going to put t to the 5. And then we look at the r's, just because for some reason it's in this order. R to the 4, R to the 8. Would I do 4 times 8 and get 32? Heck no. Because it's same bases, you should remember that it's 4 plus 8. Whenever they both have the same base, you add the exponents. So in this case, the technically right answer would be 72, coefficient goes first. But then you do alphabetical order, the R. 4 plus 8 is 12. So that's gone, and then t to the 5. So in this case, that would be my final answer, yo. All right, so 72, R to the 12, t to the 5. If you have any questions, let us know. All right, moving along like Donkey Kong, let's check this next mug out. Uh-oh, we have division up in this mug, you know what I'm saying? So let's check it. First off, I see this. I like to box everything that goes together. Well, 45 divided by 9. If you covered everything else up, okay, if I covered all of that up, bam! And I just had 45 divided by 9 back in the old days. You know what we're saying? Back in the old days, you would just multiply. So in this case, or divide. I almost got you with the multiply. You would divide 45 divided by 9 is 5. So I like to mark it off when it's gone. Now, when you have division, you hopefully remember your rules. And if you don't remember your rules, folks, they're on the front of the formula chart. Same base, there's no other n's in there. Then I have n, that's 5 minus 4, because I subtract 5 minus 4. Whenever you divide, you're actually subtracting. So he pieces out. Then I look at my m to the 4, m to the 6. I like to box the ones that go together. So I've got m 4 minus 6. Use him. And then got one more right there. And some of you remember that the p to the 0 cancels out, but we're just going to write it down as 7 minus 0. Okay? So far, so good. I'm just going to put a box around that and say, well, that turns into what? Well, let's see what it turns into. Well, have 5 here. You can do 5 minus 4 is n. And if you want to put the 1, you can, but on the star test, you're not going to see a 1. So he's gone, he's gone. 4 minus 6 is a negative 2. He's gone. And then 7 minus 0 is just 7. Now, I've got one more stage because guess what? We're almost done. What happens next? Let's do a little, how about we change the arrow? Boom, boom, boom. All right. So what's this going to end up being? Well, nothing happens to the 5. Let me back this thing up. That way we can, how about we go over here? Just so you can see it a little bit better. This way. So 5, n. Now this is a special case because when we have negative exponents, we taught you if it's in the denominator, it goes in the numerator. If it's a numerator, it goes in the denominator. So in this case, it's in the numerator. It's going to go to the denominator. And when it goes down or goes up, the exponent goes away because now he's happy. He was a negative exponent. He's like, man, I don't like living here. But once he moves, he's like, oh, I like living here. So the exponent becomes a positive. And nothing happens to the p. It just chills. I have all different bases. All the exponents are positive. So guess what? They are a happy camper. All right. But we have one more problem there. One more problem there. I'm going to go and clear this page out because there's a lot going on there. Let's check this mug out. If you notice, I'm going to box what goes together. 32 divided by 4, we already know is 8. Okay? Super duper easy. But we have a base to a power and a base to a power. Well, we already know that when you're dividing, you're actually subtracting. So 3t minus 5w. And then you're thinking to yourself, what the heck? 3t and 5w can't go together. They can't, but you can't do anything else. When you're dividing, you're subtracting exponents. And guess what? 3t and 5w can't go together. You can't make a new letter in the alphabet. It's not technically negative because you're just subtracting. There's only two bases, so guess what, folks? This is kind of a trick problem, but I'm sorry to say, you might have been confused, but that's all you can do here. You can simplify the 32 and the 4 and get 8, and then you can subtract the exponents for b. But that is your final answer. Because when you divide, you have to subtract the exponents, and you stop. Super easy problem, but people get confused because they want to do more, but technically you can't do more in that one, okay? Rewind it if you need to check that mug out. All right. Moving on to number 5. We're almost done here, folks. Number 5 says solve for the letter P. Solve for the letter P. Well, the letter P is right here. How about we put a little red, let's go red. How about that? Put a little red on it. Put a little lipstick right here on the P. Okay, we want that P by itself. So I have to get rid of the 1, 6, and the S. So what in the world do we do here? Here's what I would do personally. Is when I see divide, I think the opposite, which is multiply, because I want p by itself. What's the opposite of divide by 6? Multiply by 6. Okay? So everybody multiply by 6. Here's a 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom. They're going to cancel out. Remember, what you do to one side, you do to the other. So now I have 6v equals sp. Okay? But I still need p by itself, so I got to do one more step. So I'm going to get rid of the s by simply dividing and dividing. Guys, it's so easy. It doesn't have to be numbers. You can just do the same mathematical opposite operations with variables. So technically, my final answer, I could say P equals 6V divided by S. And there's my answer. Okay? I've got P by itself. I'm good to go. 2 steps, folks. All we did was multiply and divide. Very, very basic. But now we have to solve for something. It says that V is 20 and S is 5. What is P? Well, what makes this nice and easy is since P is already by itself, we're just substituting in. So let's check this out. So P equals, we said 6 times 20 divided by 5. Because 5's your S. We can color code that. Here's your 20 and your 5. 20 and 5. We just plug those right in. 6 times 20, you can use a calculator if you should know, is 120 divided by 5. And then 120 divided by 5 is 24. And you could say that's your P, and there's your fun answer. All right? So try that out, see if you got that answer there. Let's come over to the next problem here. We got H equals 3K plus 4P. In this case, I believe it says, what is the value of P? So that means we're getting P by itself because it did say up here, solve for P. Well, here's P here. We'll do it in a nice little purple there. So let's get P by itself. Well, we can't divide by 4 because this has nothing to do with 4. So we're going to get rid of the 3K first. So minus 3K, minus 3K. And since H and 3K are different variables, we can't put them together. We can just put them side by side. Okay? So 4P. But I still need to get rid of the 4. So the opposite of multiply by 4 is divide by 4. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So we could technically say our answer is, in this case, h minus 3k over 4. Okay, you could split it up if you'd like, or you can leave it all. So here, let's rewrite this. We've got p equals, but this time it says h is 34 and k is 8. So instead of h, I'm going to just replace it. H is 34, here's h, so I'm going to put a 34. All right, minus 3, but this time it says times k, and we're telling you that the k is 8. And then you simply divide, okay? Divide by, in this case, 4. Now we're just doing basic mathematics. So let's see if we got this right. So we've got 34, 3 times 8, so that's negative 24 over 4. 34 minus 24 is 10 over 4. But I want to reduce it. I want to simplify that. All right, so I'll take my trusty calculator. And we turn it on, make sure it's turned on. So now it's 10 divided by 4. And then I'm going to press math, enter, enter. Math, enter, enter reduces all fractions, simplifies it. So my answer is 5 over 2, and that equals our trusty letter P right there. Okay, folks? So 5 over 2 is our answer. Sweetness. Now, what can we do from here? We're going to go on to our next page. So, everybody's set here. We're almost done. We're on the very last page. We're looking at questions 6, 7, and 8. All right. So in question 6, it says, in which step below does a mistake first appear in simplifying the expressions? Holy moly, this mug's got all kinds of decimals and variables. It's got 2 different variables, decimals, parentheses, negative numbers, and a question mark. That means let's get started. So anytime we're looking for that first mistake, folks. Mistake means where does it mess up? So let's see. Distributive property. All right. Let's do 3 times 0.5. Well, 3 times 0.5 means half of 3. Half of 3 is actually 1.5. So let's check it. I see a 1.5, x, y, check. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12x. Check, and it's 3x. So far it's check there, and then it looks like they just rewrote this. And if you rewrite it, that's not wrong, folks. You can just do one step at a time. So it's step 1, everything is correct. So let's check step 2. Step 2, they rewrote it. That's not wrong. But then they multiplied here. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, check. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x, check. Then it looks like they rewrote and rewrote. If you rewrite it, that doesn't mean it's wrong. So I've got nothing but checks. Therefore, that set of numbers is correct. Here, rewrote it, check, rewrote it, check, rewrote it, check, rewrote it, check. So no mistake yet. Rewrote it, check, whoa. Now let's see, y times x is xy, check. Y times 6 is 6y, check. So in this case, everything's correct, check. So the only other option we have is step 4. We know step 1's all correct, step 2's all correct, step 3's all correct. That means there's a mistake in step 4. Let's see if we can find that mistake. All right, since we know step 4 is where the mistake happened, let's see how it happened. So if we go back to step 3, in order we got the 1.5xy, we have the 0.5xy, and we have the 1xy. 1.5 plus 0.5 plus 1 is actually 3xy. So that's a check. So there is no mistake there. But if I do look at the negative 12x and the minus 2x, that should be a negative 14x. And right here it says negative 10x. So there is where the mistake happened. So that is step 4. All right. So it doesn't get the check, it gets the x, and that is the answer because that's what we were looking for, the mistake, yo. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we've got 2 more questions left. Let's see how we're going to do on these bad boys. So we're going to go down, look at number 7. It says, which expression is equivalent to, holy moly, lots of stuff going on here, 4d times 1/2 a minus 2 plus 3 times a plus 4 plus a times d minus 1. Well, what this is really, really easy because all we're going to do is multiply, and it looks like add. So here, I'm going to get rid of the brackets. Brackets are technically the same thing as parentheses, parentheses, parentheses. So let's get this party started. So 4 times 1/2 is 2, but it's a times d, so I'm going to put AD, okay? And then we have 4d times a negative 2, which would be negative 8d. So we've gotten rid of the brackets at the front. Pretty simple there. And then we have 3 times a, which is 3a, plus 3 times 4, which is 12. So we've gotten rid of the parentheses right there. And then we have one more set, which is pretty simple. A times d, which is AD, and then a times a negative 1, which is negative a. All right, so let's see what we combine. When you're combining variables, you try to go to the ones that have 2 variables in it. So let's see if we can find those. We have a 2AD and a 1AD. So in this case, 2ADs plus 1AD, I have 3AD. So let's look at our answer choices. I have a 3AD, 3AD, 3AD. So womp womp, that has an 8AD, so we're going to cancel that mug out. So the next variable I would look at is, because we're doing alphabetical order, I'd look at the A's. So have 3A here minus A, so 3 minus 1 is 2A. So there's 2A right there. So I'll come over here, 2A, 2A, 4A. You see how I'm using my answer choices to cancel them out. It's pretty big baller shot caller. And we've got the next variable, which is the D. So it's going to be minus 8D. Come over here, minus 8D, that has plus. So we know our answer is B, but let's just check it. So we can say the minus 8D here, and then the plus 12, okay? And I look, AD cannot go with A cannot go with D, and D cannot go with a constant. Therefore, our answer, folks, is BAM! 3AD plus 2A minus 8D plus 12. Holy moly, we're down to question number 8. All right, I hope you're ready for this. Dun, 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 dun. Just playing, folks, so we're not playing music here. We're just trying to solve some math problems. All right, we're down to number 8. There's 3 radicals we are trying to simplify here. So I'm going to make it nice and simple, okay? Remember, when you have the square root, we're trying to look for perfect squares. So in this case, I can't take the square root of 27 because it's not a perfect square. So we do the little split. And it just so happens that 27 can't be divided by 2, but 27 can be divided by 3. And when it's divided by 3, I get 9. And why does that make me happy? Because guess what? 9's a perfect square. So I split it and I quit it, split it and quit it. Oh yeah. So now I'm taking the square root of 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So when I pull a 3 out, the 9 goes away. And then I can't take the square root of 3, so I leave it. 3 square roots of 3, and there's my answer. And you can check it back. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. You see how I went and checked my answer all the way back up? And I can go down. Let's see. Okay, well, 27 is 9 times 3. The square root of 9 is 3. And what's left over? 3. So that's how you do that mug, okay? Now, we got 2 more problems left. Let's see how this works out. Now I've got a coefficient out front, or a factor of 5. So I know it's going to be 5 times something, all right? Well, let's do this. Actually, I'll put the 5 there in a moment. Let's back this mug up and keep backing it up, backing it up. All right, let's just split the 32 first. Now 32 divided by 2 happens to be 16, and I'm going to stop right there because 16 is a perfect square. And I'm thinking, heck yeah, that's what I'm looking for, perfect squares, you know what I'm saying? So I've got the square root here, and I've got the 5 out front. Well, 5 is going to stay out front times, now look right here, perfect square. The square root of 16 is 4. When I pull that out, that goes away. And then look what's left inside, square root of 2. And then 5 times 4 is what? 20. And then 20 square roots of 2. So there's my answer. Okay, let's reverse that mug. 20 is 5 times 4. And then 4, where did that 4 come from? Well, 4 squared is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So I can check it all the way back up, all the way back down. Let's just check it one more time. 32 is 16 times 2. The square root of 16 is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. And what's left over? The square root of 2. So I know I did that mug right. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Moving along like Donkey Kong, we're going to go over here. 108. Now, 108, I can divide by 2 and I get 54. But 54 times 2, neither are a perfect square. Don't want to use that. So let's try to divide it by 3. 108 divided by 3 is 36, and 36 is a good number because it's a perfect square. So I square root that mug, and I know that the square root of 36 is 6. When I take that out, I have to cross that out. And can I take the square root of 3? Nope. So that's my leftover, and guess what? I'm done. So let's check it. Make sure you can check it. 6 squared is 36. 36 times 3 is 108, and so when I check my answer, I know I have it right. All right. So when you're simplifying radicals, you just find in that perfect square. In this case, a 9, 16, and 36, and then you take the square root of 36 with 6, and whatever left over stays on the inside. All right. Folks, the test is tomorrow, so good luck on this mug. Getting ready for the CBA next week. You are rocking it in the Algebra Accelerated Academy because you're here at Big Time Math Tutorials and you're checking this video out, okay? Peace out for now. This is Big Mac, and I wish you luck because I know you work hard and you're representing. Peace!